Hello, it's time for Combat Patrol Carnage. So we're back with issue 15 today, and we have our lore and collect articles. It's not a lot. We have one short story in which elite Terminators fight off against a Psychophage, and we of course have our battle record for the Psychophage, which we'll be able to give a name to later on. So I'll dig out issue 2, which has the Tyranid naming tables in. So yeah, not a lot for this video, so a nice quick one. So we'll head to the table shortly, but before we do, don't forget to do all the usual. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop me a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys, and it helps out the channel greatly. Finally then, Combat Patrol Carnage is proudly sponsored by warbay.shop, your one-stop supply for all your hobby needs. They stock everything from models for armies for different game systems, to hobby supplies and gaming aids as well. They're also stockists of Combat Patrol magazine, so if you want extra issues, check them out. They'll always be able to get a few in if you need them. There'll be a link for Warbay in the video description, so check them out. Alright, let's head over to the table and we'll have a little bit of a read and a naming ceremony as well. So here we are back at the table for our lore articles. I've got issue 2 off to the side here for the naming table, as we're going to be naming our Psychophage. I've also got a dice and pen to do that with. We've got our data cards, so we'll put these to one side. Most of them we won't be using for the moment. We'll come back to this lot in a later issue. These ones though will need this issue, next video. And there we have our Psychophage, looking all nom nom nom. So, a couple of pages of lore to do, one short story, and then we name our Psychophage. So, without further ado, we'll adjust the camera and dive straight on in. Alright, in we go. So, past the pages that are fallen to pieces, to here, Soul Feeder. Calcas probed the ruined starship with his mind, like a warrior feeling the edges of a grievous wound. Wielding the warp required caution and training at the best of times, but here, in the den of the Witch-Eater, it was far from the best of times. Calcas was used to the whisperings of demons when he had been but an initiate. He had been warned to guard his mind against any intrusions and to the tricks of the creatures that dwelled beyond the veil. But this was worse somehow. The thing scraping at his mind was not some cunning warp predator that spoke with the voice of a human. It was utterly alien and incomprehensible. A maddening static that made concentrating almost impossible. Only one emotion seemed to register: hunger. Calcas placed a finger to his temple and telepathically broadcast a message directly into the minds of his squad mates. It's close. The Terminators did not acknowledge with words. They were Space Marines, and there were no need for such mortal formality. Instead, they assented him with the clicks of weapons being made ready and the hum of power packs being pushed into their operational limit for maximum speed and responsiveness. None of these battle brothers would ever truly trust Calcas. Even a Psycho as well trained as he was still considered a potential danger. If he lost control of his supernatural abilities, none would hesitate to slay him. He did not grudge them this. Death was a far better fate than possession. There was one exception. Pholos had been an initiate alongside Calcas. They had passed the trials together as boys and had their bond that surpassed even the closeness of battle brothers. Pholos opened his mind to Calcas, letting the librarian read his thoughts. So you found the Psycho-Eater, eh? It would seem so. What is your theoretical then, brother? Is the beast wild, or is the hive mind with us? The creature, the Psychophage, had been a thorn in the Space Marine's side for some time now. Not all Psychers were as apt as Calcus at defending themselves. Terminators grapple with a Psychophage at close range. Should they fail, their very souls are at risk. It had taken 2 battle Psychers from nearby Militarum regiments in the last week alone, and it had robbed them of an astropath, the vital communication Psyker necessary for messaging the Space Marine's battle barge on the other side of the star system. They could have been coordinated attacks, but Calcus had found that to try to discern a pattern in the actions of the hive mind was folly. Even Tigurius, who knew the Tyranid swarm intellect better than any, struggled to predict its actions. He messaged Pholos. "My theoretical, brother, is that your response should be the same regardless of the nature of our foe. Utter annihilation. Now ward your mind lest..." Calcus focused on the shared memory. The pair on their trial of exposure. Pholos had ingested a poisonous plant in his impulsiveness, and Calcus attended to him for 3 days and 3 nights. The message was clear: be cautious. Pholos nodded. Calcus felt the psychic link between them close. They pushed ahead into the gloom, and then Calcus felt it before he saw it. Not feral, then. He barely had a moment to respond. The creature opened its vast, serrated maw and let out a gout of foul, scorching ash. Calcus hauled himself out of the path of the killing smog, but one of his battle brothers was not so lucky. The ash poured over the Terminator's warplate, finding any gaps it could and forcing its way through air filters. Calcus felt his brother die, his soul winking out in a moment. They were out of position. The thing was too close, the Terminators were too slow. For an ordinary warrior, it was certain death, but there was a reason the Space Marines utilized Psychers, no matter how dangerous they were. Calcus focused his mind and seized time itself, slowing the carnage about him to a crawl. The future branched before him like a tree, so many paths and so few leading to victory. But there was a way. Calcus focused on it, feeling out its dimensions, broadcasting it to his squad mates. Time was speeding back up, the present beckoned. Calcus did not pray or hope for survival. He acted. If the creature thirsted for psychic energy, then he would slake it. For a moment, he threw open the barred gates of his mind and let the hellish might of the warp flow through. This power was poison. At this intensity, even a moment's lapse would lead to him being consumed. But it was effective. Lightning lashed from his fingers and across the great beast's carapace, carving black rents across its hide. The Terminators followed with a storm of bolter fire. Their shells would have turned a regiment of humans to mincemeat in moments, but they merely seemed to annoy the beast. But it was distracted. It turned to unleash another gout of ash, exposing its neck to Calcus. He surged forwards, willing killing energy into his forceps. One strike between the plates, one strike, and this is over. Calcus drew close, but he was too slow. With horrific speed, the creature twitched its huge head to face him. It had trapped the librarian. Calcus had no energy left to ward himself. A direct blast on the Psychophage would doom his soul. He could feel its malevolent intelligence, but then Pholos was moving faster than any warrior and Terminator ever had any right to. His power fist hammered into the creature's head, shattering the chitin plates and spraying gore across his armor. The alien's hate was replaced with the familiar thoughts of his battle brothers. Well set up, brother. The next one is yours. An open mind is like a fortress with its gates unbarred. Q773P23-D-21, the consuming maw. Psychophages are feeder beasts, found in the latter phases of Tyranid infestation. They seem to have a particular preference for consuming psychers, making them very dangerous for Space Marine librarians. So there we have it. Psychophage faced up against Terminators, but the Terminators managed to pull out a win. But yeah, it could have gone totally different if things hadn't been so well planned out. But yeah, we'll see how a Psychophage actually does on the tabletop in next issue, as this one we don't sadly get to see him in action. But we do at least get to name the beast, and we have a little bit of information here as well. So here we have our collect article for the Psychophage. Psychophages are feeder organisms designed to digest matter for the Tyranid swarm. Even as battle rages, they ravenously consume all in their path. They are particularly adept at devouring psychers, and they convert their essence into soul-searing ash, which can be used later as a horrifically effective weapon. So as usual, we've got a background table to roll on for our Psychophage, so we'll do that in just a sec. But first off, we need to name it, so we'll bring in issue 2 here, turn to our naming tables. So we've got 2 parts to make. So the first part, we got a 4 followed by 5. The suffocating. Ooh, that sounds awesome. And the second part, we get 5 followed by 2 phantoms. Not ideal for a singular creature. The suffocating phantom, perhaps? We'll take the S off, I think. And for its background, we get 1. Any victims caught in this Psychophage's psychoclastic ash are haunted by nightmarish visions of dead psychers. Okay, so yeah, that could fit better to the names, the phantoms. So yeah, suffocating phantom, it suffocates you in the ghosts of the dead psychers. So very potent background for a Eldari Farseer, perhaps, seeing his past Psycho brothers consumed and reconsumed over and over again. So we've built our Psychophage and we've painted it, but we don't play until next issue. So one last thing to look at then is his datasheet. So we got this datasheet to add to our collection of other datasheets. We also have the datasheet card, so we can keep the card handy for when we play our games. But we have a nice lot of characteristics here. So he has a movement of 8, toughness of 9, 3+ save. He has a mighty 10 wounds, leadership 8, and an objective control of 3. So his Psychoclastic Torrent ignores cover and has the Torrent rule. Is D6 attacks with a 12-inch range, no ballistic skills as a torrent weapon, strength of 6, -1 and 1 damage. It has melee weapons in the form of its talons and tentacled maw, so anti-psycho 4+ and devastating wounds. Melee weapon, D6 + 1 attacks, weapon skill 3, strength 6, -1, 2 damage. So we'll learn a little bit more about its abilities and special rules in the next issue when we start adding it to our battles. It also has Deadly Demise 1, Feel No Pain 5, has the Faction Synapse and Feeding Frenzy rule. So each time this model makes a melee attack that targets a unit that is below starting strength, add 1 to the hit roll. If the target is below half strength, add 1 to the wound roll as well. So yeah, pretty cool. The weaker the enemy, the more damage you can do to them. So that's pretty cool. Keywords: Monster, Great Devourer, Harvester, and Psychophage, and the faction word is Tyranids. So there we have it. That's it for our lore articles for issue 15. Up next then, we have our latest battle and we learn all about our new terrain cards. So I'll see you all for that one. Other than that, yeah, that's it. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time on more Combat Patrol Carnage. Goodbye.